It is May 3rd, 2015, and you're listening to Wonder Dudes in Gamesoft World, Episode 1, Super Mario Lands. Tonight we have with us Maurizio.
Hey. Also known as MZO, or Mizzo.
Finchikins the Owl.
Finchikins the Owl here.
And myself, Geen. So tonight we're talking about Super Mario Land, both 1 and 2. The original being a launch title for the Game Boy in all regions. Released back in 1989 for the US and Japan, and 1990 for Europe. So it seems to be a game that gets a lot of flack for being so incredibly different from the rest of the series.
Yeah, the weird thing is, like, living through it, at the time, it was very well regarded. I think it got really good reviews. I don't think anybody even insinuated it might be a bad game.
No, I don't think so either.
No, right? And these days, it kind of gets some hate online, and it's a little confusing to me.
Like when it came out, I mean, there wasn't really a standard... I mean, there was a standard formula for, like, Mario games, but there wasn't really anything they adhered by. It's like in the US, we had Mario 1 and Mario 2 at the time. It's like, okay, Mario can pretty much be anything it wants to be.
Mario can do whatever it wants.
Yeah,
right.
You can go to Sahara, Lauro, whatever the hell it's called.
Sarasaland?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Like Finch said, here in the US, we only had 1 and 2 that came out, and even R2 was Doki Doki Panic. Where in Japan, Super Mario Bros. 3 had already been out for over a year at that point.
That's crazy.
So Mario Land being almost a throwback to the original Super Mario Brothers, it seems natural for us, but kind of out of place for Japan at the time.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a throwback to the original game. Like, little to no inspiration, I'd say, from the later games in the series. And it kind of made sense, though, as a Game Boy launch title. Like, here's a new system, going back to the roots, right? Like, I mean, it kind of makes sense. I was okay with it.
Yeah.
Well, I think especially to Nintendo Power at the time, it compared it directly with the original Super Mario Brothers. And I think going into it, like, I know as a kid, I was just like, okay, well, it's Super Mario Brothers, but on a portable. That's cool.
Right. And I think yeah, it does feel that way. There's obviously differences, since the Mario team did not work on this game, isn't that right?
Well, this was developed by R&D 1, which at the time was more known for Metroid and Kid Icarus and the Game & Watch series before that. So Miyamoto actually had absolutely nothing to do with this game. He's not even mentioned in the credits.
Yeah, it was headed by Gunpei Yokoi, who is one of our favorite people at Nintendo at the time. Or ever born, basically.
Yeah, ever.
Just about.
Ever, not even at Nintendo, just one of the favorite people who ever existed.
It's true, look him up. He's amazing.
Some people call him the Abraham Lincoln of Nintendo. I don't know why, but he was the best president at Nintendo.
Because he was assassinated.
That's true.
Oh, God.
It's pretty awful. Yeah, by Yamauchi. Sent his goons after him.
I think it was Reggie driving a truck.
That's how Reggie got into Nintendo.
He was a street thug back then.
You have to get your foot in the door somehow, right?
Yeah.
True. Oh,
one of us is going to be like in an interview for Nintendo, and Reggie's going to put a tape recorder on the counter and say, "Hey, you remember this?"
You're fired.
He's just going to smile and nod. Like, so we'll be in touch. Leave. Get out.
So back to Mario Land, since it was a completely different design team, there are a lot of changes to the formula. They checked off all the right check marks and all the right bullet points, but the feel of the game is a little different. The physics don't work quite the same as you remember Mario physics working.
Yeah, even compared to Mario Brothers 1, it's like Mario 1 has a very distinct feel to it. Like, momentum is a little bit slower than the newer Mario games. And Mario Land mimics that, but it almost feels like Mario is heavier in that game. Like, everything's a little... Things drop faster than they do in Super Mario Brothers.
Well, you're in a different world, Nick, so the gravity's different.
I'm sure.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But you don't have... Like, Mario 1 is definitely a momentum-based platformer. Not as thick as, like, Sonic or something, but it's definitely there. You let go of Mario, he still kind of takes a couple steps forward. You can feel it, And Mario Land doesn't really do that. Mario Land, you can't, like, run and duck and slide,
Right.
You just kind of stop, like, immediately. And like you said, the gravity is ridiculous. If you jump, your fall is regulated, but if you just walk off a platform, you will drop so quickly.
Yeah, you plummet like a rock in that case, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting to go back and replay a game with these kind of physics in it. It does take a moment to adjust yourself to it, but it's definitely there. Even though the physics are a lot like Mario Brothers 1, and a lot of compromises that I think were probably to go ahead and adjust for the original Game Boy's blurry screen to stop too much moving stuff on the screen at one time. Like Koopa Troopas, for example. I mean, even though what is the name, the Japanese name they have?
It's
like Nakis.
Nokobon?
Nokobon.
I should go look at my booklet because all the names are still in Japanese in the manual, which is hilarious.
I think it's Nokobon or something.
Right, like exploding
It
turtle.
was a pun.
Right.
Yeah, it was a pun between like the normal name for Koopas in Japan and the bomb.
Yeah,
since he blows up.
It was
when you step on
Nokobon.
him. Yeah.
Nokobon.
And what's the original? What's a Koopa Troopa name?
Koopa Troop? I don't know. Looking up the Super Mario wiki.
Let's do it. It's Noko Noko in Japan.
Okay.
Instead of Noko Noko, it's Noko Bomb, which is exploding noise, I guess.
Right, well, bomb being exploding, right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but like the Koopa Troopa shells, you can't kick them. They just, you jump on a Koopa and they explode. Things like, you can only shoot one fireball at a time, and even then the fireballs are like bouncy balls.
Well, it's not even a fireball, it's a super ball.
Super Ball.
Super ball, I'm
Super
sorry.
ball. And
Yeah,
the super ball is the greatest thing because it's so weird. Like,
Right.
it doesn't act like a fireball at all. It just bounces in a 45-degree angle or 90-degree angle. 45, I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they should bring the Super Ball back. It's kind of a cool thing. Just to, like, let it go and watch it collect all the coins.
Yeah,
Right,
see, that was awesome. It collected coins for you. I don't think there's ever been another power-up that does that in Mario. Has there?
The boomerang, but I mean, not like the Super
yeah.
Ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Super Ball wasn't that great in a big, wide-open area since it would bounce off the ground once and then just fly off the screen forever. But a lot of the levels they had ceilings, they had hallway-type things, and the thing would bounce around in comical ways sometimes and come back and hit the guy you're trying to hit in the first place. So Super Ball was actually really cool.
Yeah, and it was also neat, too, how you could, position it so you could hit an enemy across the screen by bouncing off the ceiling in some cases.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the first boss, that's exactly how I beat him every time I played it. It was just
Bounce it off the ceiling.
Yeah,
Holy
bounce off
crap.
the ceiling and nail him.
I've never tried that.
Was that like the Egyptian
It's that
cat
lion.
thing?
Yeah,
It's a
like a
lion.
big sphinx.
lion.
Like a big lion
Sphinx,
thing.
right?
Shooting fire at you, right?
And they make that awesome noise every time you hit them with a Super Ball, like meow.
Bam! Bam!
There we go. That's it.
Bam! 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 Bam!
Okay, that's enough.
No.
It's
Never
never
enough.
enough. Yeah, and then the other thing too is besides like the exploding Koopa Troopas, it's the whole cast of enemies is just wacky because I mean the only thing that resembles anything in any other Mario game are the Koopa Troopas, the Goombas, and the Piranha Plants.
It has the flies from the original Mario Brothers.
Yeah, the
Right.
fighter flies. Right?
Yeah, fighter flies
Yeah,
make
which is
their return.
Really weird to see them again.
The setting of this game is kind of wacky. The first world's kind of Mushroom Kingdom-ish, and it's got the Goombas. They're not called Goombas. They're called like Little Goombas or something like that. They have like another
Aren't they?
pun name, I think.
What was the Japanese Goomba name? Kuribo?
Yeah, it's Kuribo, and this is like
Yeah,
Chibibo
Kuribo.
or something like that.
Is there a Mario Land instruction booklet online?
I have one. I can see it from here.
Yeah, you look at it. Just to say.
So beyond that, but then you have other enemies too that are things like the Sphinx cats that shoot fireballs. Not just the first boss, but actually like Sphinx cats that just sit there and shoot fireballs downwards. And
All right, you guys ready for this?
yeah, go for it.
Chibiba.
We're gonna go through all the enemies. Let's see what we got here. It just has characters, so everyone's grouped up. There's Daisy Princess. Not Princess Daisy, Daisy Princess.
That's
Her
her last
proper name,
name.
please. Thank you.
There's the Sky Pop, which is your airplane that we'll talk about later. The Marine Pop, which is your submarine that we'll also talk about later. The Pakun, which are the piranha plants. That's what they were always called in Japan, I think.
Pakun flower.
Right. The Pom-Pom flower, that's the one that juggles like a seed around. I don't
Yeah.
think those really had a name before. Nokobon, like we said, of Noko Noko.
Yeah, I don't think the juggling piranha plants in any Mario game before this.
Well, there's something like it in Mario 2 USA.
Yeah.
There's that
Oh,
one
you're
that
right.
shoots
Yeah,
fire.
yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
similar, but not really the same. And there's also like in Mario 3, you have the underwater one that shoots like those fireballs. That's kind of similar, but not really the same. Then there's Chibibo, who's mini Kuribo, basically.
Mini
The little
Goomba.
Oh
Goomba.
my god. Chibibo.
Yeah, idiot. Come on. Then there's Kumo, the spider. Sure. Toko Toko, the moe head.
Moe?
It's like a moe head, isn't it?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Not
I'm just
moe.
saying moe.
Jesus.
It's a kawaii moe head.
Yeah, but that thing doesn't walk. It's like, it doesn't have legs, and it's kind of shaking its arms. I think it kind of vibrates towards you. It's really weird. Then there's the Neololan, which is a snake that shoots fireballs. No idea where that comes from.
This creature moves around in a cowardly manner. Oh, it blows poison balls at... This is such a weird description for
These
everything.
are harsh words spoken about the Neololan.
What is that, the piranha plant that shoots fire?
No, it's like a snake.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one that moves around in a cowardly manner? It doesn't move at all.
He doesn't
Sits
move at
there.
all, actually.
No, and
Maybe
he's
that's
very-
what that means.
It's cowardly.
It's cowardly.
Yeah.
Then there's the
Just
Batadon, which
lazy.
is like... This is the moe head, except it has wings and it bounces around. Tries to crush Mario. That's true. The Mechabon, which is like a robot,
Yeah.
and its head comes off. I don't know.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
weird.
that thing. Yeah.
And Sue, a different spider called Sue, with 2 U's. And then Gao is that Egyptian lion we talked about earlier. They named the rocks. The rocks are called Ganchans.
The rocks just
Ganchans.
bounce around.
They're
Yeah.
actually just rocks, but they have names.
They
proper
can't be
names.
beaten.
Then Hyolhoi, who throws Ganchans at you. He's like a moe head with legs, but he throws rocks at you. He's the boss,
that's,
right?
that's the boss from the level 3, yeah.
I don't know. Do you want to read all? There's a lot left. It kind of keeps going.
What's kind of neat about Mario World, too, though, is that there's such a variety between each stage.
Do you mean Mario Land?
I'm sorry, Mario Land, right. There's such a variety between each stage that you don't really see the same set of enemies besides maybe the Koopa Troopas and the Koopa Bombs, if you want.
Nokobon.
And the little chibi Goombas.
Nokobons.
Nokobombs. But there's besides those and maybe the spiders, like you really don't see the same enemies between different worlds.
Yeah, the thing is, it's got different settings for each world.
Right.
So the first world is slightly reminiscent of the Mushroom Kingdom. You have some enemies that are similar, you know?
It's like an Egyptian theme, really.
Yeah, by the end it definitely has an Egyptian theme. But
Yeah.
you that's where you find most of the enemies from the first game.
Right.
Or that are reminiscent of the enemies of the first game, I should say. And then the second level starts. Did you ever notice that every time there's a transition between worlds, you're like under a spaceship when the level starts?
Well, I think only in the second world. I was noticing that, especially this playthrough, that each world, it's like it does transition. Like, it gives you a way that Mario got to that new stage.
Yeah.
So, like, you start on World 2, there's a spaceship with, like, the beams in the background, where it looks like Mario got there by spaceship somehow.
And honestly, like, didn't the US commercial have a kind of weird space theme to it? Do you remember that?
I don't think I ever saw the commercial.
I think I vaguely remember it. Like, it was like Space Invaders, and Mario's, like, fighting them, and...
Yeah, it was like aliens are attacking the Earth. It was in black and white, and it was done in the style of, like, old pulp.
Right, like a
films,
pulp
yeah.
horror film, right, yeah.
And I think Mario was small, because he was in the Game Boy, so he might have been, like, a smaller size Mario than even normal in the commercial. I don't remember too well. But there was a weird space theme going on. I guess Tatanga, the final boss, is a spaceman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a mysterious spaceman according to the instruction booklet.
Well, he is mysterious. And he kidnapped Daisy Princess.
Yeah.
Each world has kind of its own theme to it, right? So the first one, like
Right.
you said, kind of goes into Egyptian. What's the second one about?
The second one's like a tropical theme.
Okay.
Because it's more because you're like you're on the water the entire time.
Space.
Sure.
The third world is what is the third world? No, I'm drawing
Like
a blank on that
caves?
one.
It's like rocks everywhere. It's like Easter Island or something.
Yeah.
And then the fourth world is like
Oh,
China.
we all know what the fourth world is.
Right, it's like stereo. It's like almost like a racist China.
Ding,
Wow.
ding, ding.
The music.
Well, it's like Far East. I mean, it's not
It's
racist.
just, yeah, it's not racist.
Racist
it's just
China.
Oriental.
I always thought of it as racist, but
Really? Okay, that's weird. Yeah, it's like pretty extreme.
between the music and then you have like the jumping Chinese zombies that are
It's
in
like
there.
it's like
Yes,
Chinese
vampires.
vampires. They're not racist. They're cool enemies.
Right, like if the enemy was like this Chinese guy with really big glasses and huge butt teeth, right? And they made fun of him. That's racist.
that'd be racist. Yeah,
But
Mario
if there's
made
just
fun of
bamboo
him.
in the background and there's hopping Chinese vampires and Asian style music, that's not racist.
I guess not.
It's kind of stereotypical, but it's not racist.
It's a cool
Punch Out's
stage.
racist. This is
Punch Out's extremely
I
racist.
can agree with that.
That'll
It had
be
like bamboo shoots and little mountains. It was really cool.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too about Mario Land 1 is that it's really short.
Pretty short.
Yeah,
30 minutes maybe.
I would say so. I mean, I beat it twice within an hour,
Nice.
just back to back, and
Can't get enough.
well, also too, once you beat it the first time, you unlock hard mode.
Oh, that's right.
So I went through it both on normal and then hard just to see the difference.
Was there anything significantly different, or just
Just more enemies.
okay? They introduced later enemies earlier, I think, at some points.
Actually, I don't even think they do. It's just more of the same enemies.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they have them in weird places. Kind of tricky.
Right. So they'll put like
Bastards.
some of those like in the first level, like they'll put more of the flies like
Yeah.
on screen at one time, and they'll
Yeah.
put more of those fire shooting lions in like higher places that are a little trickier to jump on them. But I mean, even with hard mode though, I mean the game is so generous with coins and 1-ups and everything else that like by the end of the game you have 20, 25 lives without even really trying to have that many.
Yeah, I think I just beat it with 32 when I played it last time. There's a bonus game after if you find the path to the top door, which really isn't that hard. It's just don't fall off something at the end, basically.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's kind of tough. Like those things will just because of the way he jumps. Like, he kind of, I don't know. Like you said, there's not a lot of momentum to his movement.
Yeah, I don't really do a lot of running jumps in Mario Land. Like, you kind of lose a little bit of control if you try to do a running jump. I tend to either start the jump as a run and then let go of the run button in the air, which helps me land better, or just not even run at all. Most jumps are easy to do without even running in the first place.
Yeah. Well, and really the only thing that kind of screws up, because at the end of the stage you'll have a goal on top, which is the one that takes you to the bonus room, and then a goal on the bottom, which just takes you to the next stage. And most of the time, if you screw up, you can try it again. And then later on, they start like putting like the falling platforms and
Right. I want to call them donut blocks, but they're clearly not donut blocks. I don't know what they are.
Well, I guess they were what donut blocks became, but yeah. But besides the normal like the structure of there being 3 acts, with the last act having the boss at the end of it,
Right.
Worlds 2 and 4, which is the last level, have a shoot 'em up stage.
That is really weird.
Which is the only Mario game that I can think of with a shoot 'em up stage. I think the only other thing that had a shoot 'em up in a Mario game was Mario RPG, but everything else was no other Mario game has had like a straight up shoot 'em up levels like worked into the game itself.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. And one thing I want to point out about the bosses, which I always thought was really funny, is when you play Mario Brothers, you get to Koopa. There's a bridge. Koopa's on the bridge, and there's an axe, right? And that makes sense, because you jump on the axe cuts the rope, the bridge falls away, and Koopa falls. I mean, that's not what... You don't see the animation, but that's the idea, right, of what's happening. But in Mario Land, you have a switch. And if you manage to get past the boss, which is really not hard to do, and touch the switch, the boss explodes. Like, that's all that happens.
Well, I think with
Which is really weird.
Yeah.
Well, and also too, besides the first boss, like I guess the only other boss with a switch is I guess all of them have switches, but none of the other ones are on a drawbridge of any sort.
Right. Only the first one's on a drawbridge, but the bridge doesn't fall.
Right.
It just explodes. And then there's even the one where you're on a submarine, you can get past them.
Right.
And touch the switch, and he'll just explode.
That one's weirder because it's easier to sit there and shoot him than to go for the switch. But you can't.
It's way easier.
Yeah, it's like you can go for the switch if you want. It's there.
So Tatanga, I think he's holding these bosses hostage, and he's making them do this, fight Mario, and they have bombs inside of them. Yeah.
Oh,
And then Mario...
it's a good story there.
Yeah, and then Mario is triggering these. This is Tatanga's way of controlling these giant monsters.
Never
And
thought
Mario
of it.
just takes advantage of that. That's all.
Yeah. So Mario Land, pretty short. But I love it. I mean, I think it's
Yeah.
I love it too. It's bizarre, and wait, couple more things to touch on. Sorry,
go for it.
the music in this game is
yeah.
beyond reproach. Every song.
It's Hip Tanaka, and he uses the full stereo of the Game Boy, which, I mean, contrary to what you think, it sounds amazing.
Right, like when people think of chiptunes, they're like, oh, it sounds like a Nintendo game. It's like, no, actually, people that work on chiptunes use the Game Boy sound, because Game Boy actually has better sound than the Nintendo did.
Yeah.
And in this particular game, it's excellent. Except for one thing that I have trouble forgiving, which is the Starman noise. When you pick up a Starman...
But it's the can-can.
It plays the can-can. Which is really... Why wouldn't it just make unique music for it? Like, why do you need the can-can? Or what's the alternate name for the can-can?
Oh, something bizarre.
Well, the can-can is not the real name of the song.
Bottle.
Can-can is just what it's known as. But the original theme is the Infernal Gallop.
That's it.
Yes.
There we go.
Also known as the can-can.
Well, it's like self-descriptive. Infernal Gallop.
It sounds like it. I don't
Mario's
know.
galloping infernally.
Well, isn't the underground theme kind of like a general domain? Or at least it sounds like a general domain. It's not very good. It's not bad. It's like a dopey elephant walking in a room.
It's like a fat man walking, yeah.
And that's something kind of interesting too, is that just like Super Mario Bros. 1, where you had all these hidden rooms and pipes that were basically just coin rooms.
Yeah.
Mario Land introduces that as well. But there's a bit more variety to them than there is in Super Mario Bros. 1. Like, even if a room looks just like another room that you may have been in before, like, there might be power-ups hidden in a different spot, or, like, in one of them you need to find a hidden block. And when you get to it later, that hidden block is, like, in a completely different spot. So it really kind of throws off what you're expecting from that room.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Especially, like, in the, let's say, 1-3? Like, in the end stages, they do this weird thing where you have to go to the ceiling and there's coins on the ceiling, but there's, like, little elevators hidden in blocks.
Right.
And it's just kind of, it's really weird because it makes it feel more mysterious.
Yeah, I mean, they kept that feeling from the original Super Mario Brothers, of there being, hidden secrets and mysteries in every level to discover, and that's a really fun feeling to play a game. Like, I really enjoyed that, and I mean, the graphics aren't that great, but it's like the first Game Boy game, so shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
but also, too, I mean, in
it
fairness to
sounds
Mario
amazing.
Land...
It plays really well. Like, there's no reason to hate on this game. There's no reason at all to hate on this game.
No, and really going back to the graphics, like, I think a lot of... It really plays to the strength of the Game Boy. It plays to the strength of the original Game Boy screen being blurry as hell. And trying to avoid having too much moving stuff on the screen, being able to clearly see where you're jumping to, being able to clearly see platforms. Like, even as a kid playing this on, the old brick, I never remember feeling like I was confused as to what was happening on screen.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Even with this blurriness, like, you can always kind of telegraph what was going on.
Yeah, it's easy to read.
Yeah.
I think that was one of their goals, for sure.
Yeah. And in playing it now, I mean, granted, we're playing it on, SPs or, on TVs, but it never gets in the way, and I never even feel like it's too small, because everything is just so easy to telegraph on it.
Yeah. I mean, you have, like, these big wide spaces, but you also have these nice little, just like little elements in the background. It's like UFOs and pyramids and mountains.
Right, and bamboo.
And there's cool stuff happening too. Like, there's waterfalls, and there's like there is like simple backgrounds where they don't get in the way of the foreground, but it definitely paints a scene as to what's going on in the world that's around you.
Yeah, but next time translate the manual.
No way.
That's one of my only complaints.
Keep it as it is.
Yeah, it's better that way.
Yeah,
change the names of the
when
enemies.
you're like, what's a Nokoban? What's a Chibi? Whatever the hell it was.
It makes the game even more mysterious.
Yeah, you're like, oh, what's this weird Blockington? It's
Blockington.
Because of his shyness, he constantly hides inside of a cloud. Up to now, nobody has ever seen what he looks like.
Does he make chickens?
Oh, what is it? That's the final. That's like before the final boss. Yeah.
Yes, the cloud right before the final boss.
Chicken, a ward bird kept by Tatanga.
Right.
They just named everything. It's weird. Plonpy, Rocketon.
Did they name the fist that comes out of the warp pipe near the end
of
the
the
stage?
That's so weird.
Which is bizarre. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen anywhere else.
Yeah, that is really weird.
Well, anywhere else in Mario Land or in general? Because it does happen in Mario Land too, at least.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get to play through all of Mario Land 2, so I don't remember that.
Even though in Mario Land 2 it looks like Wario's fist punching down the ground, but
Okay.
it's not like a human hand that's reaching out, But
Oh my god, we're gonna talk about Mario Land 2. I'm excited now.
yes, we are. But before we get to that,
we still gotta talk about Mario. Okay, well, one of the things I was gonna say is like when this came out, it kind of came out of nowhere. Did you guys really know it was coming out?
I don't remember. Unless Nintendo Power told me, I really wouldn't have known. I think there were articles talking about the Game Boy launch before it came out.
Nintendo Power did, at least, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember going into Toys R Us and seeing it. It was like, it's a new Mario game. Where did this come from? And I had never heard anything about it. It was just there, and it's like, oh, Game Boy, what's that? Weird.
Well, I mean, I was a Nintendo Power addict, so I remember being excited about it coming out.
Yeah, I was the same way. So I did know it was coming.
Even when it was like a one paragraph preview that showed a single screenshot of baseball for Game Boy, being on the edge of my screen. Edge of my seat, just rubbing my hands, waiting. Edge of my screen.
There was some demon in the corner holding a screenshot that someone took with a camera in front of a TV.
With the translations, though, I really think that's the case of Mario Land. I mean, it was only 3 months between the Japanese and the American launch of this game?
Yeah, that's a very quick turnaround. At that point, we hadn't gotten, like you said, Mario 3 yet. We were 2 years behind the Famicom, I think, in the US in general.
Right. Well, especially too. I mean, Mario Brothers 3. Not to get too off topic, but that came out in Japan in 1988. Mm-hmm. Which is when our Super Mario Brothers 2 or Super Mario USA hit the United States.
Yeah, we were about 2 years behind the Famicom.
Right.
So I'm glad that they decided to launch the Game Boy at a much closer pace between the two regions.
Yeah, and really for us, I mean, even though we got Mario 3 within a year of Mario Land launching, I'm really happy that we got Mario Land first. And then transition to Mario 3. It just feels like
I would have been disgusted by it. I would have thrown it in the garbage.
Get the shit out of my face.
This crap.
Absolutely disgusting.
In Japan, they were just like, no, we don't want this. What is this? This is garbage.
That's what Miyamoto said.
Well, you know what? I mean, when I was doing research about this game tonight, I really didn't see anything about the reception of it in Japan. I mean, like you mentioned earlier, it had a good reception in the United States. It's only recently that people seem to be shitting on it. But I wasn't really finding much about Japan's reaction. I'm curious as to how they respond to this game. But
I'm
not sure.
I don't know, if they have souls, they'll love it. So it's okay.
That's what counts. If they have good hearts.
If they have good hearts, they love Mario Land. That's the way it goes.
So anything we want to talk about with Mario Land before we wrap up and move on to the sequel of this?
I'm ready.
I don't know. It's just and another thing that's great about it is the cover to Super Mario Land.
Oh, the cover's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used... I mean, that's one of the reasons I thought it was like, wow, what is this crazy game? There's a lion on the front. There's this alien in the background.
There's a seahorse over there. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. It used the art from the original Japanese release, which looks so cool.
Yeah. Well, especially
Mario's had pretty good covers in the US. They've been a little
do you think so though? I mean, especially compared to Japan?
I think so. Japanese ones were. I mean, I love the Japanese ones
disagree.
too, but I think ours were very very iconic.
Yeah,
they stay in your head, and the Mario 3 with the yellow background. I think it's a great cover. It's not quite the big Koopa Kid, extravaganza with Bowser wearing a cape for some reason that's never explained or seen again. It's not quite that, but I think it has a certain look to it, and I love that the black boxes are some of my favorites. So I like Mario Brothers 1. I don't understand what he's doing in the cover. He's about
dying.
To die.
He's dying on the cover of Mario Brothers 1. That's
what's happening. He ran into a brick wall. Right? As he's falling into flames, and he somehow shoots a fireball through the wall.
Well, because he's jamming on B, trying to escape it, And he can't.
God. Yeah.
It's like pressing up in Mega Man. You'll make it. Might work.
So I don't know what the deal with that is. And Mario 2 was just Mario holding a veggie, right?
Yeah.
Flying through the air, right.
It was
it said something, Mario Madness, right?
Mario Madness.
Yeah, Mario Madness.
That's kind of weird.
It's an affliction.
No,
Well, they're-
I
Holy
don't know.
Mother of God.
I mean,
just
I don't know,
remember-
they're iconic, but the Japanese covers I think are just so much better. Even like Super Mario
Yeah.
Bros. USA, when that was released in Japan years later, like even that had a really great cover with like them on a river throwing vegetables at war.
Well, they just replaced the characters. They redid the art for Doki Doki Panic, so it's
Yeah.
like the same poses and the same
just with Mario,
action, just with Mario and friends, right?
which is cool. I mean, especially if you
cool.
live through Doki Doki Panic.
If
Like,
you
it's-
threw it, I survived Doki
He
Doki
survived
Panic.
the Doki Doki Wars.
But it's kind of neat to see that same exact cover, just with the Mario replacing it, which is kind of funny since that's exactly what they did with the game.
It's so
But-
weird.
Enough about this garbage game. It's like on Mario Land 2. Let's go.
So Mario Land 2 released.
Wait, one more thing.
Okay, go for
Okay,
it.
do you remember the Mario Mania strategy guide that came
Yes.
out?
Oh, yeah,
in
of
the
course.
I do.
There
of
was like
course.
one point in it where they were talking about all the games, and they talk about Mario Land, and they're like, "This isn't made by the same team that makes the regular Super Mario games." Like they were trying to disown it or something. A different team at Nintendo made this.
Some asshole made this. We don't care.
We just threw it to the
They lump it in. They lump it in with Mario's Time Machine.
threw it to the amateurs at Nintendo. It's a first year project.
So Mario Land 2 that was released about 3 years later from Mario Land 1.
Has subtitle this time.
6 golden coins.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I always forget about that.
Now see this. Oh god, we have to talk about this game. Okay. Before we talk about the game itself, let's talk about the idea of the game, which is by far the better topic, because the game itself is a little weird. But just that the 6 golden coins, right? Like if you were like before Bowser steals something, you're going to Bowser's castle, right? So it makes sense that there are traps. It makes sense that you're going through all these obstacles. In this game, though, Mario, is he? Is this like a direct sequel? Like he's off in Sarasaland or whatever, Sarasaland, and he's coming back to find Wario?
I don't remember if the manual specifically said this was a direct sequel, but that was
in
always my
head,
interpretation.
in my head, it's canonical to Mario Land 1.
Of course, right.
And he has left the planet to go rescue Daisy Princess. And he comes back. And the best part is that the game takes place on an island, right? It's a Mario-themed island.
It's Mario's Island. This
And
is
it's
Mario
Mario's
Land.
island. That's the point
Yeah.
I'm trying to make. It's Mario's island.
Mario
There's
Land,
a castle
right.
there. It's Mario's castle. I'm assuming
yeah.
he took all the gold coins he collected in the first Mario Brothers game, and he bought an island. And in this island, not only does he own a castle, which is gigantic, a gigantic castle. There's a giant robotic statue of himself, right?
Did
There's
he
a-
build that, or did it?
He
course
must
he
have had
did.
it. I don't know if he did it with his own hands. He's not a plumber.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a plumber. He's not.
Boy, he was a carpenter at one point.
Was he a car? Oh my god! Maybe
Donkey
he did
Kong.
it himself. I think he commissioned it personally.
Yeah,
But
I mean, he was on a wrecking crew, right? He could have built stuff too.
there's like a hippo with snot bubbles to send you into space. I don't know what that has to do with anything. There's a giant turtle that he probably keeps as a pet to show his power. And I mean, it's so bizarre because this is his island. That's the thing.
Well,
Like,
you know,
come
he has his
back-
own horror theme park, apparently.
Like, there's a haunted mansion or something in his island. But you come back and Wario's taken over the island, right? So you have to take it back from Wario. Which means this was your island. And Wario didn't show up and build a Mario statue. You know? These are your Mario statues. And inside
Wario's
the
like,
castle,
"Hey."
there are a few, like more than one Mario statues in
There's
that
at least
castle.
like 4 or 5 Mario statues
in
in that
different
castle.
poses. So that I think that I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't think about it much. But as an adult playing the game, it poses quite a few questions about Mario. It's not the Mario I know. Let's put it that way.
It's a different
It's the Mario I know.
I think being Mario got to Mario's head. I think being a hero and saving the kingdom kind of made him go a little crazy.
Who's the real bad guy here? Is it Mario or Wario? Maybe Wario was just trying to show him the error of his ways.
Well,
think
do
so. I
you
think
do you
so.
remember
I
the
think
Mario
that-
Land 2 comic?
Which
With
one?
well, there was a Mario Land 2 comic in Nintendo Power
Yeah.
where the whole backstory to Mario Land 2 is that Mario and Wario are childhood friends.
Yeah, and wasn't Mario like always a dick to Wario?
Yeah.
Mario was always addicted to Wario. Like poor Mario was remembering back. Like, oh, we played cowboys and Indians. We played cops and robbers. I had so much fun.
The experiment with the coin.
And then Wario's remembering back. He's like, that son of a bitch. I was always the villain. It's like Mario beating the crap out of him.
I'm reading the instruction booklet here. It's like, when I was away crusading against the mystery alien Tatanga in Sarasaland, an evil creep took over my castle and put the people of Mario Land under his control with a magic spell. He's been jealous. This intruder goes by the name of Wario. He's been jealous of my popularity ever since we were boys. He's tried to steal my castle many times.
All canon.
Many times.
Why does Mario need a castle?
Yeah. I like the fact that Mario uses the word crusading. It's not just rescuing Daisy. I'm crusading.
It's a mission from God, okay?
It's a mission from God against Tatanga.
Wow.
Be our savior, Mario, please.
Right, so this game came out. This game came out after Mario World, right?
Yeah, this came out after Mario World. This is a 93. So
okay, it definitely takes cues from. It definitely
Right.
takes cues from Mario World in how it's structured.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Mario Land is taking cues from Super Mario Bros. 1, this is definitely taking cues from Mario World. Like things that were introduced in Mario World, like the spin jump, that's in Mario Land 2.
Yeah.
Being able to float, even though that was in Mario Bros. 3, it was reintroduced with the cape in Mario World, and that's reintroduced again with the rabbit
bunny
ears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which are neat. I like the bunny ears.
Yeah. Do you? I mean, I was kind of
What's
annoyed
wrong with
with
the bunny ears?
them. Yeah, they're kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
What?
That's silly.
They're silly. I mean,
too
I'm
silly. It's too silly for Mario.
They're probably my least favorite. I mean, I like the bunny ears. I like the way it looks, but as far as like function,
I guess you can't attack with them, and you can't even fly with them. You just kind of glide.
They just float.
But it's all right.
I mean, they're okay. They're not terrible, but
I don't know. Let's lay it
always
down
get the
here.
fire flower.
I don't dislike Mario 2. I didn't back then, and I don't now. I don't dislike it. I see its flaws, but I still like the game.
Well, I always felt, and I guess we'll go back to with like the physics, where the physics of this game, they feel very floaty to me at least. They feel
definitely.
like gravity, like everything is a lot slower. You look at a Goomba that falls in what should be really like a one block fall, and it's in the air for like 2 seconds.
Probably a response to Mario Land 1. Miyamoto was like, "You fall too fast." And they were like, yeah, we'll check this out.
Well, even Mario though, like Mario doesn't fall too slow. Like he falls at a good pace, but enemies just like creep down to the next gravity just like creeps on them. And then like Koopa Troopas and Goombas are back, and Piranha Plants from Mario 3 primarily are back. Like the ones that shoot fireballs. Those are all here in Mario Land.
Yeah, the sideways facing ones with the round heads. Yeah.
But then all the other enemies are kind of out of place. Like at least Mario Land, all the enemies felt like they fit in that game. Where in this one, I feel like I think so. Like I think like the enemies in Mario Land, like they fit with the setting. Like they never really feel
like the
out
tropical
of place
island
in that
where
world.
the fish bones jump out at you for no reason, like that.
No, there was a story
and then
behind
there's a
those.
robot there.
Yeah, it fits
that
in
makes
that
sense,
game.
right? That's all good.
I mean, there's a story behind them. Like those fish bones were the fish left over from what Tatanga was eating. It's in the instruction booklet. There's a story.
They thought of everything. Damn those guys.
Honen. The skeleton fish is called Honen. The skeleton of a Torian, which is the regular fish.
Got it.
After it's eaten by Tatanga.
See?
So is anything eaten by Tatanga alive as a zombie, or just these fish? Interesting.
Just the fish. Just the fish. The manual established this.
Okay.
All right. So back to Mario Land 2. I don't know, like especially like the enemies just really feel almost like Looney Tune characters to me. Like they look too goofy in this game.
It's
I
kind of
remember
wacky.
there's like a cowfish, right? Which looks like a bull with horns and a fish mixed together.
Right. It's just
There's like the little Jason guy. There's has a knife stabbed in his head and he has two little feet.
It's like a
I
Goomba.
kind of like.
Except it's wearing a Jason
Oh, it's
mask.
a Goomba. Yeah, I never thought about that. It probably is a Goomba, isn't it?
I mean, he acts just like a Goomba.
Yeah.
Just has a different sprite, but
What are the bosses? What are the bosses in that game? I don't remember.
In Mario Land 2?
Yeah, you got the 3 pigs in the clock tower, in the Mario tower. It's not a clock, it's just a Mario.
The Mario
witch.
statue.
Yeah.
There's the witch not in the haunted area.
The witch.
There's a jellyfish. and there's a crow.
Actually,
And guess who's back?
That's
What were you
right.
gonna say?
Good old Tatanga.
Mysterious
Yeah,
Spaceman
Tatanga's
Tonga.
back.
Which is probably the hardest fight in that game, in my opinion. I kept dying when I was doing it today. Shooting like two beams or two projectiles at one time.
Right.
So it's kind of a pain in the ass.
They don't have like 5 pages of characters in the instruction booklet this time.
It's not the same.
They just have like 2 pages.
And even though Mario Land 2, I'll give it credit, much like Mario Land 1, where each world has a unique set of enemies, it does repeat more than Mario Land 1 does.
Well,
but
it's
at
much
least
longer than Mario Land 1 was.
It's a longer game, not by much, but it's a longer game.
It's like 2 hours.
You can blow through it in 2 hours.
As
Yeah.
opposed to like 20 minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at least like the tree stage that's in that world, in that game, like that has like ants and like
Yeah, that's right.
tree themed enemies, you know, or the stage where you're miniature, same deal, where it's all like again giant ants that you're fighting against.
Maybe Mario's miniature in the game. Have you ever thought
In
of
the
that?
entire game.
Yeah, the entire game. Because
and
he's
then
on
he gets more
Game Boy.
miniature?
He's tiny. No, he doesn't get more miniature. He's just always small.
No, but there's that one world where you go into it and you're like you become miniature.
Like in the house.
Yeah, like in the house.
Yeah, like you're walking on books.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's right.
Well, he's like swimming through tree sap in the tree world.
Yeah, how big
Yeah.
can that tree possibly be?
Well, in that case, it must be pretty big. He's not
Yeah,
miniature in that one.
Mario's only like 2 inches tall in this game.
It's not Mario, it's Mario's toy. Mario has a playset where he pretends he has a castle.
There's like a big book of lore that Miyamoto has. He's like, yeah, Mario's tiny, and it ties back into Mario versus Donkey Kong.
Alright, so Mario 2 was also not made by Miyamoto's team, right? Still the same team that worked on Mario 1 for the most part?
Mario Land 2?
No.
Yeah.
Mario Land 1?
Yeah, it didn't have Hip Tanaka on it, that's for sure.
Yeah, the music took a hit.
Actually, no.
Unfortunately.
Tanaka was on Mario Land 2.
Who says?
No.
The credits at the end of the game?
Really?
What?
Yeah.
What's it say he was doing? What's he doing? Like taking a nap while Totaka was working on it?
Does it say not writing music?
Yeah. He's like,
I mean,
I'm
the
gonna
music's
I'm gonna
nowhere as good as Mario Land 1. But yeah, Tanaka's credited for it.
Well, Moby Games has the music composer as Kazumi Totaka,
Yeah.
who's a different dude.
That's weird.
And the music, I don't know, I find it to be lesser quality than the first game.
Yeah.
Not like that's, I mean, it's not bad music. There's nothing wrong with it. I still remember a lot of it. It sounds good. It's just, the first game had exceptional music, though.
Right. Well, and I like the fact, too, that, like, there's a constant theme that's going through all of the stages. All the music, I should say. So, like, you kind of hear that melody repeated and remixed and worked in. Like, even the Haunted World, which kind of has, like, a creepy, like, very atmospheric kind of soundtrack to it. Even that has, like, that main theme, like, interlaced in that creepy music, which is really neat.
Well, there's that what was it, a church or something in the Haunted World where it actually has the do 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 do, and it's kind of
You're
mixed
right,
with the
yeah.
Mario Land 2 theme.
Nice.
Yeah, it does. It's almost like a whispering, right?
Yeah.
This guy, he went on to be the sound composer, so not music, but he did the music for the Virtual Boy Wario Land game.
Oh, did he?
It's also excellent. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's neat.
I mean, I kind of like his music, but it's like it all follows the same theme, and again, I don't think it's nearly as good as Hip Tanaka's work.
No.
No, it's good. Nothing's wrong with it. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's bad. Like it fits the game well, and it sounds very good. But just comparing it to Mario Land 1, which is such an old game, such an old shitty game, but the music is so good that it's hard. It's hard to compare. Yeah.
It didn't have the craziest stereo effects either.
No, not too
At
much.
least I don't think it did. I was playing it last night, and I was like, hey, this didn't have the weird stereo effects. We're like in Mario Land 1, if you're on a certain side of the screen hitting blocks, it'll make the noise come out from one speaker,
Right,
or one headphone speaker.
No,
if you're on the other
definitely,
Speaking of sound in Mario 1, I really like it when you pick up a lot of coins really fast and you get a 1-up while you're still picking up more coins.
Yeah.
And like it struggles to get that sound out. And it's like, like really slow. Oh man, that's the best.
But one thing that's kind of neat about Mario Land 2, and I think this is the only Mario game I can think of that has ever done this, is it's a non-linear Mario game. So, I mean, like, you start off, it has like an introductory level, but then at that point, it gives you the overworld map. and you can do any world in any order. Just as long as you beat all 6 worlds, then you can get into Mario's castle to kick Wario out of it.
That's very true. And it does make sense, since in Mario you don't really gain abilities to the point where you are better prepared to take on certain challenges than you were before. Maybe just a learning curve in general, but
Yeah.
you don't really, Mario doesn't improve too much, let's say, from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. You're the one that improves, so
Right.
it does make sense to have an open decision about where to go next. It doesn't really affect the game in any way.
It doesn't affect it. I mean, there's some games where they do this, and I feel like the difficulty is flatlined, and I get a little bored with it in that case. Like, just as a recent example, Link Between Worlds. I got a bit bored with the difficulty because you can do any dungeon in any order, and the game never ramps up the difficulty. Like, all the dungeons, I never thought so.
There were some places where you definitely didn't belong unless you had certain items.
Right.
Like, if you hadn't gotten the half damage tunic, you didn't belong, in like the northeast part of the map. Like, you can tell when you got there.
Right. I mean, definitely some parts became easier when you had better armor and stuff, but like, there's only one dungeon I could think of in that game that I felt was much harder than the other dungeons. And, just personally, I got a bit bored with the difficulty as I was going through it. But Mario Land 2, and probably because it's such a shorter game, it's a 2-hour game compared to at least a 20-hour game. But like, that difficulty never really ramps up into Mario's castle at the end.
Okay. I think Mario Land 2 is a good difficulty. Like, it's not too easy and it's not that hard, so it's pretty good. But definitely ramps up right at the end, though. You're right.
It definitely, like, it spikes up, because I know I went through almost the entire game without dying once, and I get to Mario's castle, and I died a shit ton at that point.
Yeah, it gets a lot harder at that point.
Yeah.
It's getting through all of Mario's traps. Not Wario's traps, but Mario's traps that have now been turned against him.
His lava pits, his bonefish, all of Mario's prized possessions.
Like, Wario didn't carry all this stuff here. He just flipped a coin in the front of the castle from an M to a W, and then he sat down. That's all he did.
Yeah, he just turned over the M.
He made himself comfortable on Mario's golden throne.
In his throne, in the throne room. Next to the giant... In the very next room, there's like a statue of Mario who's like dancing or something. Like, I remember there's a weird looking Mario statue.
Yeah, he has like
on his
1
tiptoe.
foot up.
Yep.
With his arms up as well.
There's like a mannequin piss Mario in the other room.
Did either one of you use the easy mode in this game at all?
What?
Did you even know about the easy mode?
I've never even known about that.
I do remember the easy mode, but I did not use the easy mode, no.
Okay. Yeah, if you push select on the save... I think it's only on the save select screen. It goes ahead and triggers an easy mode.
Like, you turn into Little Mario, I think, or something happens.
Right, yeah.
That shows you.
What?
Yeah.
I never knew about that.
Yeah. Which I remember as a kid, I used that on Mario's castle. Because I used to get frustrated with it so much. But
what's it do?
It pretty much takes away... like, I remember in Mario's castle, it took away some of the spike balls that are swinging back and forth. Another one of Mario's prized possessions. It removes those. I think it stops some of his giant piranha plants that shoot fireballs.
It takes control away from you, and it's a recording of Howard Phillips playing through the level. And you just have to watch it. There's a little camera in the corner that shows you Howard Phillips. It's like the Game Boy camera, and his bow tie is spinning. I remember.
Yeah, I never used it on the rest of the game, so I don't know how easy it made it. I imagine it just took away enemies, because what else could you do? There's not much else you could remove.
That castle was kind of brutal. It was really long. There were a lot of places. Like, I had to memorize the whole thing up until the end.
There's no checkpoints, which the other stages have checkpoints, like, midway through it.
And then there's, like, a Wario gauntlet, right? Where you fight Wario with different power-ups.
Yeah, Wario has 3 forms that you fight him in. So, you fight, like, Wario just himself, Wario with the bunny ears, and he does, like, his butt slam on the ground that stuns you. And then Wario with the fire flower. And the best part of Wario, two best things about Wario.
Are you gonna talk about the very last thing he does?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
but,
all right.
But the first best thing is whenever he gets a new power-up, like, he looks at you and he snickers, and it plays, like, that kind of sound effect, which is great.
He goes, bang!
It has that same kind of, like, goat screaming
like a
sound
diseased
effects
goat.
from Mario Land 1.
Robot goat, yeah.
Robot goat. And then the other best thing is you finally beat Wario, and he kind of shrinks down to like a mini Mario or mini Wario, and he looks at you and he throws his shoe at Mario's face,
And it hits you in the
runs
head.
away.
It hits you in the head and bounces off you. Like, you didn't even try to duck it.
Right.
You just take it.
You just
Like
stand
George
there
W.
like,
Bush.
what are you doing? And then he jumps off your balcony, and then Mario jumps after him. You know, it's like, what happens next?
Mario gets his castle back.
Mario gets his castle back, and I guess he beats the shit out of Wario, you know?
Probably. Just
Yeah.
like old days. Just like
Who's
old
the bad
times.
guy here?
So, I mean, the game is longer. The game looks a lot better than the original game did. The music's not quite as good. The controls are good, but not great, let's say.
He's so
not.
floaty. I mean, it's
He
like
is-
he's
he is
moving
really
through
floaty.
molasses through the entire game.
Yeah. I do like how his run cycle, it kind of looks like his legs are on, you know what I mean? Like those old cartoons where instead of legs, you have like a circle with two legs sticking out of it and it's just spinning.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's kind of like what his run cycle looks like. It doesn't look like he has like a run animation like a human being. It looks like his legs are on a wheel that just spin. So there's a lot of nice touches. I like how elastic some of the enemies feel. Like
Yeah,
when
but
you're fighting the bosses, like the little pigs and stuff, the way you bounce off them and the way that they
Right, yeah.
they
But they kinda
distort,
squish
their
down.
shape squishes. Yeah, I don't know. It gives you a really good feeling when you're
Yeah.
playing that game. Makes it
It
feel
does.
bouncy.
They kind of feel like they belong in like the later Wario Land games.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But I mean, also the thing too with this game, though. I mean, one of the things I hated was that this game has so many blind jumps. Like like it has that Game Boy syndrome where the camera's a little too zoomed in. I think.
Yeah. A little
And-
confusion.
And there's points where you're doing all these blind jumps for absolutely no reason. Like in Mario's castle, there's points where the camera follows you as you jump up. And there's all you're looking at is the ceiling. Like there's nothing above you to be worried about. And the camera's following you. And it's like, no, just keep the camera where it is. Let me see where that platform is that I need to land on, so I don't land in the lava that's right in front of me. And it's like midway through this level, you just went through like 2 previous areas. And you get to this and you have all these blind jumps over lava. And it's like, yeah, thanks. For absolutely no reason you're showing me the ceiling. Just, make sure we admire it, I guess.
It's important. Mario commissioned it to be painted. It's like the Sistine Chapel.
It's just Mario instead of Jesus on there.
Yeah. He actually hired Wario to paint it with Wario.
Mario
Stole his
took
castle
over.
instead.
Right. He just flipped the coin in the front and locked the door. That's all he really did.
It's his castle now.
And there were clouds, I guess, that go away. I don't know what that has to do with it. I don't think Wario's magic or anything. I don't know. I think it's just coincidental.
It says he's
More than
magic in the
anything.
instruction booklet. That's,
Really?
yeah. He uses sorcery or something.
He hypnotizes you in the commercial.
In the
for
commercial,
yeah.
it is.
That's
I
right.
guess it's not really magic. That's
No.
Greed is good.
no matter what you say about this game. At the very least, it introduced the character of Wario, who's a fantastic character
Yeah,
Oh, I love
Wario's
Wario.
cool.
who has had many, many fantastic games that we should talk about someday. What was the point of the 6 golden coins in this game?
They open the door.
He puts them. So that's how he opens his door with giant golden coins. Because he
Yeah.
set that up, That's his castle.
Wait, no, that's the thing too, though. Like the door that leads to this castle, it's like a big dragon head on top of the door with like a
Yeah, what
Koopa
the-
Troopa and a Goomba like on either side of the entrance.
I think he has
kinda
like big
scary.
poles with like the heads of his enemies impaled on them all around.
Well, it turns into a Mario head at the end. At like the very end, it turns into a Mario head.
Right, with like the big hat over the doorway.
Yeah.
So did Wario use sorcery on the castle? Was the castle significantly transformed by Wario?
It was, because once you beat Wario, like it goes through that transformation scene, and it's like Wario at least has a cool
so you're
looking
telling me
castle.
that Wario made a lot of cosmetic changes to his enemy Mario's castle, but he kept the Mario statues.
He kept the Mario statues.
Okay.
He wanted them. He wanted to remember Mario.
Wario likes to have monologues with himself. He likes to look at
Yeah.
the statues and talk to them.
Oh god.
Yeah, why would his parents name him Wario anyway? Where did that come from? Or like, there's a kid across the street. His name is Mario. Or we're going to take that name. Let's flip the M.
But aren't they the same age? It was coincidental, I think.
And they were friends too. It's like maybe Mario gave him that name. Maybe his name was like, I don't know.
His name is
Reggie or
James
something.
or Reggie.
His name is James. He's like, hey, why don't you play with me? Okay, Mario. Yo, your name's Wario now.
But I'm James.
James! Mario!
And your brother, his name is Waluigi.
But
Well,
that's
have they ever said that the two of them are brothers?
Are they brothers? Has that ever been confirmed?
They've never. I don't think they've ever specifically said they're brothers, but just why not? Let's say yes.
Let's kind of dress up like bad versions of these characters.
I mean, I think this is kind of a known fact at this point, but how Wario is really a play on, what is it, Waru or Wari?
Warui. Yeah.
Warui, which is like Japanese for evil.
And Mario, right.
Right.
And like Waluigi is a play on Waluigi, which is bad character.
Right, which is the greatest pun ever. The side of PC Genjin that we will never understand.
Anything else that we should touch upon here with Mario Land 2?
I don't know. Looks good. Plays well, but not great. Music's not that great. It's okay. I mean, for Game Boy,
yeah,
it's pretty good.
I mean,
Game Boy's pretty limited, so it's impressive what they could do with the hardware. When did Kirby come out? Was Kirby before Mario Land 2 or after Mario Land 2?
Kirby is before Mario Land 2.
Okay, because Kirby is like the single best, most amazing Game Boy game at the time, at least when I was playing it.
Yeah,
well, that was another thing weird about Mario Land 2 is it had the Gordos, those spike balls. It had those from Kirby. I was like, hey, that's weird.
Yeah. I was noticing that today when I was
spike
playing
balls
it.
with the eyes. Weren't they in Link's Awakening too?
Yeah.
Huh. You get around.
There were little Kirby monsters in Link's Awakening.
All right.
Oh my god, there were, right? Those are definitely Kirby monsters. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Mario Land's kind of a weird series overall, though, because I kind of got the feeling that where Kirby feels like it's kind of a lovingly crafted game, like I always kind of felt like, especially Mario Land 2, that Mario Land 2 was more of
just full of hate.
We need to have a Mario game. You need to make a Mario game, and especially since both games were made by R&D1, who are not the team that usually makes Mario games. Like, I don't even think they've made a Mario game since Mario Land 2. That these are just handed off to another team at Nintendo and told to get to work and pump it out. And I think Mario Land 2 especially really feels like these are almost like a cash-in on the Mario franchise.
Okay. I can kind of see that, but it is, we should say that once they start using their own character, Wario, I think you can feel a pretty big change in the quality of the games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, one of the good... I'm not a big fan of Mario Land 2, but one of the things it does do that's really cool is the overworld map is really neat. Just to, like, walk through it. And it carries that over into the Wario Land games as well.
Yeah, it definitely does carry that element. Oh, and one thing we haven't touched upon at all is the coins in Mario Land 2. Which, in a traditional Mario game, you get 100 coins, you get an extra life.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Mario Land 2 has kind of two neat things, which is you just collect coins. You can carry up to 999 of them. And then next to Mario's castle, Mario has his treasured slot machine.
Right.
So
just giant gambling den.
It's just filled with slot machines and whores, I'm sure. But you go in there and there's like 4 or 5 different slot machines that you can pick, and they go ahead and give you either items or 1-ups. But kind of a neat touch that, like, I wish New Super Mario Bros. 2 on the 3DS, especially with this, coin gold obsessed theme that it has going on for absolutely no reason. Like, I wish that game had adapted that idea.
Is it really no reason? We've seen how greedy Mario is.
It's true.
It's just Mario's lust for money that drives New Super Mario Bros. 2.
But Super Mario Land 1, there are those rooms that were just filled with coins, too. Those are... I mean, again, that bring it back to Super Ball. That'd be kind of cool to have another game like New Super Mario Bros. 2.
Yeah, like that would have been great in Super Mario Bros. 2. Uh-huh.
Oh, we gotta call him up.
Talk to Reggie about this.
Yeah, Reggie, come on, we got some ideas for you.
Come on, work with us here.
Then he turns on his tape recorder, and it's us saying that he killed Goomba Yoko. And he kicks us out.
Yeah, if Yoko is still alive, he'd be like, yeah, just throw this in there.
But going back to Mario Land 2 for a moment, the other kind of neat mechanic is there's actually an enemy counter as well. So as you're killing enemies, when you kill 100 of them, like a Starman falls from the sky. So you can, it's almost like a Mario Brothers 2 or a Mario Brothers USA element with the cherries.
Yeah, with the cherries, right?
Where you kill 100 enemies, you get invincibility. Really, as far as Mario Land 2 goes, I think the best thing that can be said about it is that it gave way to Wario Land and gave way to the Wario Land series.
Well, I mean, it's got some good levels. It has some good boss fights. It has Wario. It has a really cool Wario boss fight.
The Wario boss fight's really cool. The other boss fights, not so much. I mean,
really?
they're
I think
really,
they were okay.
They're really easy. Like, I mean, I blew through most of them without really even trying it, except for Tanga, which I thought was a bit...
Oh, because you can jump like super high in space, right? And you have to jump on his head. I think there was a pattern to it. I vaguely remember. I should have done it. But...
You had to duck under the little things he shoots, and then like when he crosses over to your side of the screen, start jumping before he gets there and just land on him.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing too is that when you do that fight though, there's no gravity, so you hold jump. Like in the and I guess we didn't even touch upon this, but in the space world. There's one stage where it's just low gravity, so you do these huge
balloon
jumps.
fight. It's like balloon trip the stage.
Well, one of them's like
it
that.
Does have those stars, doesn't it?
It's in the stars, right? Yeah. Well, there's one stage that's like a normal Mario Land 2 stage, but you just jump really high and you fall really slow. And then the second stage is like balloon trip, where you hold down A and you just fly up. And that's like you're like kind of navigating. It's like an auto-scrolling stage where you're flying through stars that you're trying to avoid. But you get to that fight, and that's like, there's still no gravity, so, holding down A still lets you fly to the top of the screen. But, yeah, the coolest fight in the game is definitely the Wario fight.
One of the things about the game that's, like, both cool and really stupid is, like, it has these little secret extra stages, and most of the secret extra stages just seem like they're pointless, but if you beat them, like, it'll change something about the stage. Like, the jack-o'-lantern will have, like, eyeballs. What else?
Oh, really? I didn't even notice that. Okay.
Yeah, and like in the turtle zone, the whale will start blinking.
Neat. I never knew there were changes like that.
Yeah, it's like kind of subtle changes. And like in the space zone, there's like a rocket that lands on his head, no, it's a shooting star. It hits his head, and the moon is all mad about it.
Yeah, he has like a bandage on his face. And,
yeah.
And then another, there's one extra stage that's just on the map. It's not even hidden. It's like an auto-scrolling stage with a ton of Goombas on it. Which there's absolutely no point to beating. Like, there's nothing. I guess maybe just to get that on your save screen, there's a number like
bragging rights.
Yeah, it's a bragging rights number. I guess it shows you how many stages you've beat, like Mario World does. But like, there's no point to that stage besides getting power ups and getting coins.
You can get 1-ups, but
they asked to see that save if you try to apply for a job at Nintendo.
Yeah. Do you have all the stages in Mario Land 2? Prove it to us.
Show me the cartridge. You better have it in your pocket right now.
Yeah, you had to have the original cartridge too.
We started playing these games because there was a kind of Twitter flame war against Mario Land. I remember a lot of people really hating on it, so I was like, let me try it again. Maybe the years have not been kind, but no, it's still the same game I remember, and I still like them just as much as I did before.
Yeah, it's the worst Mario game, but it's still a good game.
Mario Land 1?
The first official Nintendo developed?
No, Mario Land 2 is the worst Mario game, I think.
Well, like officially Nintendo developed.
Officially Nintendo developed, not educational.
Side-scrolling platformer.
Side-scrolling platformer. Okay. If we need to narrow down. And then any other final thoughts on Mario Land 1 and Mario Land 2 between the two of you?
No, I'd say they're worth playing. I would just say that they're worth playing. They're worth owning. Nothing really wrong with them. They're different. They're not to be compared to the original Mario trilogy or Mario World or anything like that, because you will come away slightly disappointed. But on their own, they're very good games, and I enjoy both of them.
Yeah, I think I'd like the second one better if it wasn't like Mario, because you kind of come into it with an expectation. It's like, what is this?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think especially in Mario Land 2, I would love to see that game get a remake and tighten up the physics and make it so that the camera's not so zoomed in.
Yeah, it would be nice to get like an upgrade to Mario Land 1 and 2 with like modern-y graphics. Modern-y being like 16-bit,
Mario Land 1, I'm actually kind of cool with the way it is. Like, I really have no issue at all with it.
Yeah.
But Mario Land 2, like, I wouldn't mind maybe like a Mario World like engine remake of that game.
I wonder if someone's actually done that.
Wouldn't be surprised. Maybe with Mario Maker coming out, people will put out all the levels from Mario Land 2.
Have you looked at Mario Maker? It looks amazing.
It does. But no, I mean, I definitely would recommend Mario Land 1. I mean, it's available on the 3DS eShop, and I don't think it goes for anything on eBay.
Just buy it. It's like $1, yeah.
Right. It's like $3 on the
A million people bought it. You know, there's a lot of them around. Don't let anyone charge you more than like $1 for it.
Right. There's 18 million of this game sold, so I'm sure you can find a copy somewhere. But Mario Land 1, I would still recommend. I still think it's fantastic. And Mario Loop Tim 2, I don't really recommend it. I think you can pass it, and it's fine. If you really have to play something, it's not the worst thing you can play.
Yeah.
But I'm not overly crazy about it, though.
I just can't. I wouldn't be able to excuse not having the first game with Wario in it.
Yeah, that's the biggest.
I wouldn't be able to get around that.
You have to play all the Wario games.
Yeah,
like in order.
I do. This is the first appearance of Wario. This will be worth $1 billion one day because they made approximately 30 million of this cartridge. So I know it will be worth money one day.
Yeah, I mean Mario Land 2 is that's what makes it worthwhile more than anything else. It's just that final fight. That's worth it right there. That's the price of admission.
You have to slog through the rest of the game, but you get that fight at the end.
But, you know, I mean, if that had been anyone else, or if that had been, Bowser or whatever, that Mario Land 2 would go down considerably for me. That's how much I care about it. So, of course, I am Nick, otherwise known as Geen, Bukino, and my Twitter is over at Geen82. That's Geen 82.
Okay, I'm Mizzo, also known as MZO, also known as Mauricio. My Twitter is Batsmizzo, which is like Batsmaru. If you don't know how to spell that, then I don't want you finding my Twitter anyway.
And I'm Count Black. Count Black 64. No, I'm Finchikins the Owl. Just type in Finchikins the Owl in Google. You'll find me. That's me on Twitter, me on Tumblr. That's my YouTube channel too.
You have a YouTube channel?
Yeah.
What's on there?
Just those animated things I make.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Finchy McPherson on YouTube.
Nice.
Let's just stick with Twitter and Tumblr. Finchikins the Owl.
I'll put a playthrough of Mario Land 1 and 2 on my YouTube channel, which is the same thing, Batsmizzo. So it's YouTube.com/BADTZMZO. If anyone wants to watch me play through those two games for whatever reason. Like, there aren't 100 other people doing the same thing. But they're not me, goddammit.
Just in case you can't find a playthrough of Mario Land 1 or 2.
God, I just want to see someone play through Mario Land 1. And lose, I think it's 2 lives.
Such obscure games that you'll never see anyone playing.
You never find these.
Only the best here.
Alright, well, thank you guys for listening, and I think that's about it. I think we can wrap this up now.
Good night.
Good night. Super Mario Land, good night, 64.
Good night and good luck.
Up all night, Super Mario Land.